Welcome to Dexon Photography. We went to Spain a couple of weeks ago and I thought we will take a look at some of the images straight here in Lightroom. All these images are unedited, straight from the camera. These are the raw files. And here you see all the folders. In every folder there are images. You see here the number of images. Every folder is a photo shoot. And here we are on July 11th until July 20th. And it's altogether 12,000 images I took on holidays, and I've selected 450, and so we can just go through them. Now this is still at home on the balcony, and I just bought a new lens, the 24mm 1.4L second edition lens, and took it to Malaga, where I then arrived. And what I like to do is just to take pictures of everything when I have a new lens, and I usually at open aperture. So here most of the images I shot at f1.4, and just to test it for myself to see how the focus is, if it's accurate, and how the bokeh looks like, the blurry background. So here you always see the settings I used, and these are all images straight from the camera. So from Malaga, we then took the train to go to Madrid. Here you see the minimal focal distance, the focus distance, and how blurry the background will look like. So then we took the train, and I took most of the images we take a look at now with the 24mm lens. I had two cameras with me, actually, the Canon 6D and the Canon 5D Mark I. Most of the images here in Madrid I took with the Canon 6D, and then in Nerja, near Malaga, I used the 5D. Now, I mostly shot at f1.4 just to take a look at how the images looks like. And the further you go away from something, the less blurry the background will look like. So now I have here these policemen with the horses in focus at f1.4. And yet the background is not very blurry. I'm too far away. I have to get closer to get a nice blurry background. This is something that is very usual with wide angle lenses. You have to get close to have a blurry background, even at f1.4. The further I go away, the less blurry the background will be. But if I'm close to the person, I can get really nice images and still some of the surrounding into the frame. Now, I always shoot manual, and here's a reason why. I also do the white balance in Kelvin. I set it manually. This is an auto white balance. So the white balance was set by the camera. This is the white balance how I set it. And the auto white balance often is very cold. It tries to give you neutral colors that satisfies everybody, and I like warm colors. So I never shoot auto white balance because it will never give me warm colors. It will always give me neutral colors, and often rather cold than rather warm. And the way I photograph, I like warm color, warm images. So I always set everything manually. And if you want to know how to take images like this, I wrote an ebook, Master Your Camera, and in that ebook you will learn everything about getting great images straight from the camera. Now here again, this is auto white balance. Everything looks a little bit cold, a little bit blue, and this is the white balance that I set, and it's the same setting. So it's 1/4000th of a second, f1.4 at ISO 250, 1/4000th of a second, f1.4 250. So it's a very different look. It has a very different atmosphere just because of the white balance, because of the color. And the color has nothing to do with camera model or Sony or Fuji or Canon or Nikon. The color is not relevant by camera model. It's decided by white balance. So if you want different color in your images, you have to change the white balance. Now here I have another example. This is auto white balance, very cold, very unattractive, and this is the white balance that I set it to. And I took all these images here in Madrid in Spain where it's really warm. So I want the warmth to be visible in the images, even without any editing. Again, unedited with auto white balance and unedited with the white balance that I set it to. In the ebook, I will give you everything you need to know to get great images straight from the camera. And it doesn't matter which camera you have or you use. We actually went here to Madrid to visit Anna's sister and her boyfriend. They got a baby. And I photographed all the moments. Now, I'm not going. I just show you these 4 images. Then let's go back. So after Madrid, we went back to Nerja. It's near Malaga. And here, I mostly use the Canon 5D Mark I. I think over 90% of the images we are going to take a look at from now on are taken with the 5D Mark I. This camera costs 300 euros, probably $350 or less. So this camera, the Canon 5D Mark I, it's actually 12 years old and cost about 300 euros or $350 probably. And this is what you can get out of the camera without any editing. And I think it's a fantastic camera. It's actually the first full-frame camera that was released, 2005, 12 years ago. But just when I look at the images, I still like to use it. It's really a joy to use. And considering the price point of only 10% of what it used to cost when it was released, it's actually probably one of the most cheapest cameras in terms of what you get for your money. Because it's a full-frame camera, you get the full-frame look, you get the blurry background, you can use a cheap 50mm lens and you are ready to go and get great results. And it's only 12 megapixel, but I think for many situations it's enough. If you want to print very large, you need a bigger sensor or more megapixel. But just from the image quality, from an aesthetical standpoint, I think it's really nice. Now, this is straight from the camera. There's no editing whatsoever. This is all natural light. And settings were all done manually. The manual aperture, manual ISO, manual shutter speed, manual white balance. And how you can get images like this too, I will explain to you in the ebook, Master Your Camera. I just want to name it for those who are interested in getting images like this and who don't know how to get it with any camera. Now, with the ebook, you have a way to get it. Okay, this is the place where Anna lives, or where her family lives. And so it's actually all holidays, what you see. This is all holidays. There is no work that I did here. Here you see the 5D Mark I, the Canon 60 with the 50mm lens. Here is the 135mm lens, 24 batteries for the 5D, batteries for the 60, batteries for the 550D or T2i, memory cards, film for the Pentagon 6 medium format camera, and some lenses for that. We just went on and we met a friend of Anna with his car. And we just took some images at the petrol station. And here I used 2 lenses. The 135mm lens, you will see it up here at f2.0. And then I also used the 24mm lens with these images. And I think both lenses work really nice here. Okay, we then took some more images just outside. It's right outside a shopping center. Right here is a shopping center, and this is the way to the autobahn and to the highway. And again, it's the Canon 5D Mark I, straight out of the camera, no editing whatsoever. 135mm, 1/4000th of a second, f2.2. And this is what you can get with the telephoto lens on the Canon 5D Mark I. Then I also switched lenses from the telephoto lens to the wide angle lens. So let me just take a look. Pop. Here, for example, now here we are with the 24 millimeter lens at f1.4, and it's still a new lens to me. I just bought it maybe 5 days before this shooting, so I put it to f1.4 and just want to find out if I can use it at f1.4. I don't want to go to a wedding and find out it's not in focus or it's not sharp. So this is a shooting where I can just experiment and I can make a lot of mistakes and fail, just so when I am in a really important shooting that I know where the limits of the lens are. If I can use it at f1.4, or do I need to stop down to f1.8 or f2.0? But I think it's a really nice lens. It's not super sharp wide open, but it has a nice look. And to me, aesthetics is always more important than sharpness. I don't really care much about sharpness as long as it's in focus. It can be in focus and not so sharp, then it's fine. It can be a sharp lens, but not in focus, then it's not fine. Okay, so I think you now saw just some images, how they look like, and it's just some holiday images, but even holiday images that you took or take for yourself, they don't need to be boring or cheap looking. You can have some nice images when you travel. The most important people are usually those around you. So you and they should have nice images of nice moments. I think it's a nice way to see it. So when you have a nice moment, capture it so that it's actually nice presented. We then went to Marbella. It's a place where actually many rich people come to. Here we just met an Aston Martin right on the sidewalk. Here we have a Rolls Royce and other cars. And it's just midday. So when we take a look at the time, we are at 1 o'clock at noon in summer. So the sun is really high. And to get images with the head, you have to know where the sun is, so your model can look into this direction. If Anna would look to me, all her face would be dark. This is how you work with light. Okay, still, all the images are straight unedited from the camera. It's still the Canon 5D Mark I, which I think is a fantastic camera. And I still have the 24mm lens here, and then I also had the 50. So we were just enjoying a coffee right here in the first row, and all we had was a coffee, and I just took pictures of the cars that came by, and it started with this Rolls Royce, and then it continued with this Bentley, and then another Bentley, and then an Aston Martin, and then a Ferrari, and another Ferrari. And when you take a look at the time, let's take a look at the time. So this is at 1:30 with this Rolls Royce, and this Bentley is also nearly 1:30. This is 20:02. This is 10:02. Also 10:02. This one is at 2 o'clock. This one is at 2 o'clock. This one is at 2:05. This one is at 2:08. And so it seems like the only cars there are expensive cars, and it's a really interesting place to visit just from an inspirational standpoint. You can meet a lot of people if you like and get some opportunities. Now we are back home. This is where Anna's brother is living. He has a group pool. Here we have the Pentagon 6 camera. It's an old medium format camera. Here with the auto white balance, here with the white balance that I chose. And it's not so easy to work with this camera. There is no light metering. I have to meter externally. Some more images here at 24 at f1.4. Then the 135mm. I switched lenses, and I love the 135mm lens. It works in every situation, even indoors. It will give you great images. And the 24, you can play a little bit more with perspective, shooting from up downwards, shooting from down upwards. So every focal length has a different usage. If you have a telephoto lens, you cannot shoot from up downwards. Like in this image, you cannot do this with the telephoto lens. But with a wide-angle lens, you can do it anywhere. And so also with a wide-angle lens, you can make selfies, which is also a nice way, a different thing to do, which you cannot do with a telephoto lens. Okay, here we have Triana. She's also a family member of Anna, and she took some pictures of us. And yeah, I think that's it. Somebody talked to Anna to make some underwater photos, and the next day we went here into this house with the pool, and he took some images of Anna, and I was just playing around with the Pentacon 6. Okay, yeah, I think that's it. I just wanted to show you the images straight from the camera without any editing, and even with an old camera, here still the Canon 5D Mark I, which you can buy on the used market very easily and cheap. And this is what you can get straight from the camera. Thank you very much. And if you like to have images like this also without any editing, I recommend you our ebook, Master Your Camera.